3 weeks into the Trump presidency, and it has been a rocky and rocky road, publicly and behind closed doors. Let's discuss now. CNN political commentator Symone Sanders is here. Jack Kingston is a former senior advisor to the Trump campaign. And CNN political commentators Alice Stewart and Angela Rye. We have one dude here. I don't know if you guys heard that comment earlier. Someone got called a dude on the air. It was pretty funny.
I've been called a lot worse.
Right on this show,
Bill
too,
Press
Jack.
saying dude. Bill Press saying dude. That was unique.
I thought the Black Robes Matter was pretty clever, too. So did my mom, who just texted me.
Black lives do still matter, though, Don. Just in case there were any questions. Black lives do still matter.
Black Robes Matter, too. How about that? Yeah. All right, so before we go down this rabbit hole, Symone, let's talk about some of the troubles inside the White House this week. Kellyanne Conway taking a lot of heat for hawking Ivanka Trump's clothing line on Fox. Now both ranking members of the House Oversight Committee, the Republican Jason Chaffetz and the Democrat Elijah Cummings, sent a complaint letter to the Government Ethics and Office, and they wrote in part here, we request that you use authority Congress granted to you under the Ethics in Government Act of 1978 as amended to recommend to the head of the officers or employers agency that appropriate disciplinary actions such as reprimand, suspension, demotion, or dismissal be brought against the officer or employee. How bad is this for Kellyanne Conway?
Look, it's bad. Kellyanne Conway broke the law. I think Angela said it earlier this week on CNN that she was given a QVC commercial. Was this QVC or was it Fox News? So look, I think this is indicative, though, of a larger issue of the Trump administration and their people, that they don't know the rules, that they are dead set on appending the entire process, but they don't know the process. You can't really break the rules unless you know them, and you can't bend them and, figure out what works for you. And so this is an administration that is definitely going through some issues, and they are not above the law. I think we saw that with the ruling in the Muslim ban case, and we're seeing that with this letter from, the ranking member and the leader of the House Oversight Committee. Like, these are just not things the Trump administration can do and get away with, and they're learning that harshly, if I might
Jack,
add.
do you think there should or will be some disciplinary action?
I think what Sean Spicer said in his press statement the other day, that she had been counseled, I think that's what's happened. And frankly, I think the left loses so much credibility when they go after non-stories like this. I watched the press release. I saw it live. There was nothing. It was a throwaway line. It was kind of a go-team comment. Now, I understand in Washington, uptight, particularly Trump, they've got to be held to a higher standard than anybody who's ever walked the planet Earth. But the reality is, it was a throwaway comment. I mean, the left should be going after real serious policies instead of this kind of thing, Don.
Don, I'd just like to know the left isn't going after them.
Let me just chime in here really
Jason
quick.
Chaffetz.
So as a former Hill staffer and Congressman, I know you know this, so I'm actually really surprised by your answer. I was expecting this would be a moment of bipartisan agreement for us.
Oh, no.
You know, I was.
You're picking on my girl Kellyanne.
Come on. No. And I love Kellyanne personally. But as an attorney, Kellyanne should also know better. Of course, you know, on the Hill, on the House side in particular, there's a committee on ethics. There are ethics rules that members of the House and their staff have to abide by. The distinction here is Kellyanne has a law, as Don cited, from 1978 that applies to her as a member of the staff, of the executive branch staff, and it doesn't apply to Donald Trump. One of the things that I would like to see Congressman Cummings do, Congressman Chaffetz do, is ensure that these same ethics rules and laws apply to the president. That is the biggest problem. So now you have staffers who worked for him on the campaign, who are now part of his staff at the White House, who think that they can be Teflon Don just like him, and laws don't apply.
Angela,
Hold on, everyone, please, before you respond. Let's play this moment so we can look at it and then analyze it properly, and then we'll talk. Play it, please.
Go buy Ivanka's stuff is what I would tell you. I hate shopping. I'm gonna go get some on myself today. It's a wonderful line. I own some of it. I'm gonna give a free commercial here. Go buy it today, everybody. You can find it online.
Alice?
Don, I think it's important actually to look at the entire clip in its context. We all know Kellyanne. She is a serious, hard-nosed
worker and employee and loyal to the president. She was asked a question about Nordstrom dropping Ivanka's clothing line. She answered it in a serious manner. And then, as Jack said, she gave an off-the-cuff, lighthearted response, lightheartedly and as a joke. And that's exactly how it came across to me. And those who are making a big deal out of it, I think are barking up the wrong tree. And as for whether or not she'll face any disciplinary action, hot off the presses, the Washington Post just released a story in the last hour that she has hired her own chief of staff. So that is hardly the action the president's going to give someone in his senior management position by allowing them to hire their own chief of staff.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's up to the president to bring discipline. I mean, we all know Kellyanne Conway. Some of us longer than others. I think, Alice, you've known her for a decade. I'm not sure how long you've known her, Jack. She is a professional, and she, whether you like what she says or how she does it, she is very good at her job. She's also very responsive to the media. But this is a whole another thing when you are the leader and you're representing the leader of the free world, and there are rules in place. You should be abiding by them, and maybe it was a throwaway line, but the question is, should she have known better? That's all I'm asking.
But I don't think she would have done. I mean, keep in mind the format was Fox and Friends. I mean, it's a lighthearted morning show. They don't really get into the heavy politics.
All right, Jack.
So this was a throwaway.
Jack.
You know what? Why is the bar so low for Donald Trump and his administration? No, that is not okay.
Y'all should be attacking
Why is the bar
Kellyanne
so
for
low
health
for Donald
care
Trump
or
and
for
his
the
administration?
wall.
No one is attacking Kellyanne Conway. We just said, hold on, Jack. We all just said nice things about her. No one is attacking Kellyanne. We're simply analyzing the actions of a senior advisor to the President of the United States on a show that is considered a news program on a news network.
All right, but let me ask the ladies, since I'm the only dude. Did any of you run out and buy the clothes based on that ad? Or do you know anybody who based on that statement?
We'll be right back. I'm back now with Symone Sanders, Jack Kingston, Alice Stewart, and Angela Rye. So Kellyanne Conway talked about the support that she gets from the president in an interview yesterday.
So you spoke about that matter, and he is not, doesn't have any intention to suspend you?
We spoke about a range of matters, and he supports me 100%. In fact, it was a very heartening moment. All I can say to America's women is, at some point in your life, you ought to have a boss who treated me the way that the President of the United States treated me today.
Symone, is that what American women need, a strong male boss like President Trump?
I don't really know what Kellyanne was referring to. I definitely don't want a vagina-grabbing, trash-talking, aloof boss such as Donald Trump. That's all I gotta say. I mean, Don, if you want me to say some more, I don't have anything else for you. Like, look, Donald Trump. Look, let's not forget, this is the same man that bragged about being able to, and excuse my French, grab him by the pussy. This is the same man that started his campaign disparaging everybody from Mexicans, and he's talked about black people to women to the disabled community. So no, I don't want a boss like Donald Trump, and I definitely think Kellyanne knows better. She's not gonna spin me on this. This is absolute just malarkey.
I think getting back to the actual topic that we were talking about with regard to Kellyanne and the situation that happened this week, look, I think what she said painted a good light on what we've heard a lot about Donald Trump with regard to loyalty. And we've seen it, he actually wrote about it in one of his books, if you're good to him, he's good to you. And he pays dividends to those on his staff who are loyal to him. And while Kellyanne was under fire during a difficult time this week, it was refreshing to hear that the President of the United States was gracious to her, and it's good to hear, especially from the President of the United States.
You know, Alice, it's interesting that you said that Donald Trump pays dividends to those who are loyal to him. What a great choice of words for someone who's failed to at all distance himself from his business interests, and perhaps that's what Kellyanne was hoping for with that QVC ad, as
Symone, that's a good comeback. But if
that was Angela. That was Angela.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, you got us confused, Jack. All black people don't look alike. Come on,
he can't see you.
Angela, I couldn't even see you. All I heard was a sweet voice out there. Hey, Don, just tell them there's 3 sweet voices, and then there's yours and mine. So,
Dude.
That was
Three
cute.
voices in the
You know, I'm the dude on the show, but let me say this. I think, frankly, it is refreshing in Washington, D.C. for a political boss not to do the political thing, which would have been to suspend her and make her the sacrificial lamb of the day so that he could continue his political career and try to pretend to be above the fray. Instead, he stood up for an employee, and I think that's an admirable thing. And maybe, Simone, he's changed, and that might be a good thing.
Oh,
Come
we're
on
reaching
now.
now. We are reaching. And let's
That was
let's
a
stop
tender
pretending
moment.
like Donald Trump is this beacon of greatness and that he has, abided by the law. This is somebody that doesn't even know the rules. Okay, so to pretend as though that Donald Trump has, given Kelly, thrown Kellyanne a bone, if you will, that didn't really happen. How is he going to reprimand Kellyanne when he's not even being reprimanded himself?
I have seen over and over again when some employee does the slightest thing, the political boss cuts and runs and turns his back on them and takes his own shelter, and that's what so many other political leaders would have done. Donald Trump went out, stood up for her, and I think it's a very good thing. And you know what? Speaking of women, I don't understand why she isn't a better icon for all of women. She's considered
hold on
conservative.
now. All right now, Congressman,
the left
you
is not showing her any of the womanly sister love. Where's the sisterly love that Kellyanne should be getting? She's the only woman
Got a
who has
minute
run a
left.
presidential campaign.
Let him answer, Jack. I've got short time left. Who wants to answer with that one?
I think, look, more than anything, I look at Kellyanne as someone who is strong and competent at her job and whatever job she does, and I've worked with her many times over the years, and she happens to be a woman. That's just a part of who she is. But I think just as a female, to know that she is the first female that's actually run a winning presidential campaign, I think that is inspiring to many people. And politics aside,
this is what I'll say.
I think it's a good thing.
Look, Kellyanne is very good. Kellyanne is very good at what she does. We know she's competent and capable, and frankly, if Kellyanne was a man, we wouldn't have to use the words competent and capable. But as a former spokesperson, I know that Kellyanne is not holding the bar high, and that is dangerous. Her credibility has been challenged. She has lied on air to journalists and to the American people, and that is not what a good spokesperson.
Lied to anybody.
Hold on, Jack. Hold on, dude. So, really quick,
the dude says she has not lied.
I think the important thing to note is that Kellyanne has made a gross error, a gross mistake, and I think a good boss, a good leader would challenge the person to say, hey, I think you should retract. That is a reprimand, and that is it. It doesn't need to be a big deal. They've made it a big deal.
All right. Thank you all, dudes and dudettes. Have a great weekend. That's it for us. Thanks for watching. Good night.